What's up, Carla?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. It looks like you're still in Costa Rica.
I am. I'm here for a few more days. So really happy.
I mean, I have to ask, have you left to learn at all while you've been in Costa Rica?
I've left to learn at the beach and I went like crab hunting and exploring. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you phrased that almost like going to the beach was like not, but there's so much that you can learn on the beach, like the crab hunting, for instance, right? So,
Yes.
hey, I wanted to ask you, and I hope that this is not a personal question.
Okay.
Do you own any cryptocurrency?
Yes, I do own a small amount compared to what a lot of people own. But yes, I do dabble. Why do you ask?
Well, because the guest that we're going to welcome today is going to be talking to some extent about cryptocurrency and NFTs and blockchain and a lot of terminology that I know people have like started paying attention to on the margins. But I also know from having spoken to him that there's a real opportunity to talk about these things more inclusively. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
I also own a very small amount of cryptocurrency because I think another thing we'll talk about is like barrier to entry. Not only is expensive, but also there's like an intimidation aspect to it as well. Like, what is this thing? Can I trust it? Et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. Yeah, those are a lot of it. It's like I feel like I only understand like very little amount of what I'm dealing with or what I'd be interested in. So I'm really excited to hear more from our guest today.
All right, so let's welcome him in. I'm very pleased to welcome Thanasi Dilos from Civics Unplugged. Hi, Thanasi.
Hey everyone, you're in Costa Rica. We didn't talk about that. That's actually, I'm surprised you didn't mention that. I'm kind of jealous of you. Right now it's like 46 degrees in New York City and cold.
Yeah.
I'm from Jersey. So, well, not from, but I live in Jersey. But I'm really glad to be escaping that right now.
Thanks for the invite. I'll be sure to.
Let me concede that 7 minutes is not enough time to talk about these topics. And I'm going to even steal a little bit of that amount to ask you very generally, like, who are you and who is Civics Unplugged?
Cool. So my name is Thanasi Dilos. I'm 18. I started Civics Unplugged when I was 16. So when I was a junior in high school. I have since chosen to not go to college after graduating from high school to focus full time on Civics Unplugged and youth empowerment. I'm a Nat Geo young explorer, also in the youth empowerment space. And Civics Unplugged is all about giving young people the training, the funding, and the community that they need to build the future of their dreams. And so we work in 47 different countries in all 50 US states, training kids through our fellowship program. And then after they graduate that program, we give them the funding necessary to continue going on learning journeys or to build something really amazing for their community so that they don't have to work, at a McDonald's or a minimum wage job instead of pursuing their passions that will fuel them for the rest of their lives.
Thanasi, I met you last year around this time because it was election day and we were talking about civics. Had another election day. I mean, in observing these things, do you feel like young people are paying attention to civics, or is there a gap or a vacuum to be filled?
I think young people are paying attention to civics in a different way. We talk a lot about civic innovation at Civics Unplugged, right? What we don't need is a lot more people who are civically active in the traditional sense of like only voting. Voting is just one small tool on the tool belt of human flourishing and the tool belt of democracy. And so what we really want to do is invest in people who think differently about how their communities should be structured, who think differently about what politicians' roles are, who think differently about how they can make an impact and where they can make an impact. And so we're kind of investing in the future of civics. And I think a lot of young people think that way too. When you talk to a young person about making change and how they feel about their communities, I doubt the first thing they say is I vote. Voting is an afterthought. Voting is something everybody does in my generation, but really taking action, really getting involved, those are the differentiators, I think. I hope that answers your question.
I mean, it gets to it. I think with everything, there's a lot of complexity that I think, given the format of what Carla and I are trying to accomplish here, something consumable, you really only sort of scratch the surface. So I invite folks to visit Civics Unplugged. And the reason I invited you today, though, is because I am a little bit of a Civics Unplugged stalker. if only
Mhm.
because I look to a handful of organizations out of sort of jealousy and envy, because I feel like doing exciting things, you're often on the cutting edge. And one of the things I obviously noticed lately, just this week, is this announcement about Skywalkers, right? So the new NFT project that you all have going on. I guess I'll just ask the very simple question, like, talk to me about this.
Sure. So I guess let's start at the beginning, right? Everybody's seen cryptocurrency and NFTs hit the news in the past couple of weeks, and the truth is, it's a very emergent space, and there is only 30% of the U.S. population that actually owns cryptocurrency, right? So it's still very, very new to people, and if anyone is telling you that they know what's going on, they are lying to your face. It's emerging, it's constantly changing, and it's impossible to keep up with. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of wealth being created in the space. And because it's very new, not many people have focused their attention on how to use the technology behind cryptocurrency. So distributed ledger technology for social impact, right? There's a handful of folks doing like with a blockchain, you can make sure that human rights abuses and genocides become written in history and unerasable from any ledger. You can track. Yeah.
Sorry, what's a blockchain? Because
Good
yeah,
question.
can you explain that? Sorry to interrupt.
Really quick. So a blockchain essentially is an immutable record that is verified by a distributed bunch of computers. So imagine you're all sitting around a table and there's 10 people around a table. All those 10 people are watching the same thing happen. So if I give you an apple, everybody can verify that that happened. They write it down and then they put it in a box with a lock, right? And so that's a block. And so we can all know that because we all verified that I gave you an apple, we can all look back 10 years and say, oh, I'm sure that Thanasi gave Carla an apple because everybody saw it and everybody wrote that they saw it. Does that make sense? Sort of.
Carla is not puzzled by what you're saying. I think, the internet in Costa Rica might be a little bit spotty, but it makes sense to me. So let's go back to you were talking about like things that can be written in history thanks to blockchain.
Yeah, I mean, so there are projects, right, that immutably document war crime information. There are projects that enable migrant workers to support family members across borders because cryptocurrencies are not government currencies, and so the transaction rates are a lot less. There are ways to use blockchain to track where your food comes from and to make sure that human rights abuses and slavery in food is eradicated. And so there's a lot of really, really good ways to use this technology to improve the lives of communities around the globe and make a lot of impact. But right now we're still in the huge everybody's making money phase. And so what we're doing at Civics Unplugged is trying to tap into some of this new wealth that's being created, billions of dollars of new wealth, and be able to create a community that takes in that new wealth from these new people and distributes it in a fair way through something called a DAO. And so what the DAO is, very quickly, is it's an organizing structure. It has nothing to do with blockchain, but it allows every person to have one vote in what happens in the community versus a centralized organization leading it, right? And so in our community, every person that buys an NFT also gets a vote in who is getting a grant from the Dream DAO. And so our goal is we've raised $106,000 in the past 36 hours, and we're looking to raise $500,000 by the end of the year. And our goal is to fund young people to not only get into blockchain and Web3 decentralized technologies, but also build really, really great, impactful things with it, and to use the community that we've built as a support system. And one more little point before I throw it back is that understanding cryptocurrency, the only way to do it is by buying some, to be honest with you. It's getting reps, it's understanding it. And a lot of the kids we work with have never owned an asset in their life, right? And that financial literacy, whether it's in blockchain, whether it's in traditional finance, is so important for young people, but they have no access to it. It's such a high barrier to entry. So by giving them an NFT, for every one we sell, we give one to a young person. They're getting an asset that's worth $600 that appreciates in value over time. And so they're getting to understand why they should care about assets, why they should care about holding things for the long term, why they should care about investing and all of that stuff.
So let's break this down to its very sort of ground level. If I want to buy or I want to mine a Skywalker, it's going to cost me 1/10 of an ETH, which I know is an Ethereum, but people don't know that.
Yes.
What am I? If I want to talk about the U.S. dollar metric system, what is that in dollars? Like, what am I spending?
So you're spending around.
Because I also think this is important. What is a gas fee?
Okay, good question. So you're spending around $500. And a gas fee, you could think of it as a toll. So it's the way that the Ethereum network controls usage. So if there's more people using the bridge, the toll goes higher to lessen the amount of people on the bridge. If there's less people using the bridge, the toll is lower because they don't need to regulate that. So gas is just the fees, the network fees, depending on how many people are using it. But essentially, you buy in for $600 and you get one of these cute little pieces of art that's an NFT, a unique token that's only yours. There's 2,000 unique Skywalkers. And then you enter the community. And so you'll be able to vote using that token that you bought. And each person gets one vote. So no matter how much money you get in, you only have one vote. And you will be able to see proposals from kids all over the world saying, I want to use blockchain and Web3 technology to build XYZ. And that community will vote and give one whole ETH, which is about $5,000 to kids, to about 10 kids every month. To support their learning journeys and support their work. And for some of these kids, especially kids that are living outside the United States, $5,000 is a lot of money that sustains them for a while. So they could focus on really important projects versus having to worry about where the next paycheck is coming from.
Did you say at the beginning of the conversation you were 18 or 19?
18.
Okay. I mentioned that not because this is something we see in big picture schools a lot. Big picture students have a lot of expertise, and a lot of times when they get invited to conferences, they are like the youth voice. Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that cute? I did not invite you here today because it's cute that you know these things. It's because I think if people don't recognize that the knowledge is possessed by younger people and they are bridging the next frontier, they're just not paying attention. And, I think the older generations can very quickly be left behind on these things. So I appreciate your knowledge and you're sharing it today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I think that the space is really, really crowded and like everybody is saying a lot of things and it's scary for people. And the message that we want to really get out is that the technology has so much more potential than just making people very rich. It has the potential to allow a whole new generation to make a whole new form of social impact. And we want to be funding it, supporting it, and paving the road for other people to do the same.
I was throwing, Carla, did you kick yourself out on that one? Okay, so thank you for being here. Again, 12 minutes and 42 seconds is not enough time to talk about these things, but we hope we've given folks enough resources to go. That being Civics Unplugged, Skywalker, and also Thanasi, you're on many social media platforms. I pay attention to what you're doing mostly on Twitter. So if you want to learn more, follow Thanasi and Civics Unplugged, because I wasn't being disingenuous. I look to you all as things that I want to steal, nicely mock when I can, and also borrow from most of the time. So thanks for bringing your knowledge. Thanks for giving me some more. And
really appreciate it.
Yeah. Carla, come back in. Thanasi, great to have you here.
This.
All right, what did you learn?
Listen,
What did you learn? Give me like one thing that you learned.
One thing that I learned is that I probably should be investing more than I currently have, because I have to build equity basically in a sense. So that's what I learned.
Yeah, and I learned, I am seeing a lot of folks, as Thanasi said this, like it does seem like many are treating this as a get rich scheme, but the more people that can look at these things as a way to share wealth,
yes,
I think that's a definite advantage, future path. I can't put it very eloquently, but it's a new space that people need to discover, I think.
I'm also just blown away that he's doing all of this. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I still haven't come up with my own exit catchphrase. I gotta work on it. So can we borrow yours today?
Sure. Do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
Oh, I don't even remember what it is. So can you close this out?
Sure. Thank you all for watching, and we hope make it a great
He froze again. Make it a great day. All right.